Hey guys, it's Tuomas Rauhala here. I'm the guest host on this channel. Today we have a very special guest here from Austria, Sebastian Lanser.
Yeah, Tuomas, thanks for having me.
And thanks to the Matka Rumpujen maailmaan channel guys to inviting us here. So thanks guys.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit where are you from?
I'm from Salzburg, Austria. It's a small city on the German border. That's where I grew up and I'm still residing there. So basically going between like my home and my studio. So I spend at least 70 to 80% at my studio and 20% at home.
Here.
It's kind of twisted,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it's a really nice place to live, you know.
So how did you start playing music? Did your parents play?
My father.
Okay.
My parents have always been very supportive, you know. In any way, so I started playing drums when I was 4 years old. You know, I got a drum kit on Christmas Eve, and you know, my father was a big influence because he's still a guitarist. He's playing.
Okay.
He's a band, a local band, and you know, he's actually was a teacher. But in his free time, he enjoyed playing music, playing guitar and singing in several bands, local bands, and I had the chance to watch him and his bands play, watching the drummer play,
Okay.
sitting in and play every now and then. So that's basically how everything started.
So can you remember like a specific moment why drums, or what these drums choose you, or?
Yeah, somehow I somehow started to get an interest in like percussion instruments, because like they were simply there was always music at home, you know, and we had a lot of instruments at home, like a lot of percussion stuff, which my father brought home at some point, and I was hitting those percussion instruments, like bongos or congas and like stuff like that. And my father decided then to buy me a drum kit.
Okay.
That's how it started. It was not really some like person like drummer on TV or something I saw which impacted me. It was more the instrument itself.
Okay. Can you remember like what music like caught your attention that time? Like, was there any?
Yeah. So my father was playing a lot of like rock and blues. So I remember him playing like stuff like Robin Ford and the Blue Line at home, which like is a guitar player from New York, which has a foundation in blues, but is also sorry about that.
Yeah.
Is also is rooted in blues, but he also has a very great background in jazz. And so what you get is like a fusion of those both worlds, and I was very intrigued by the way they played. So that's what I remember. Like also a band like Living Colour.
Okay.
Will Calhoun was the drummer there and still is, I think. Yeah, stuff like that, because there was like just on stereo. My father would like blast the music at home, and I was listening to it. So that kind of impacted me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Many times blues is a great gateway to jazz because it's it's easier to go from blues to jazz.
True.
Do you remember who were your first like drum heroes, or who taught you? Who were your teachers when you were a kid?
So I started at the age of 4, but I got my first teacher when I was 8. So it was my first private teacher. And even before that, my heroes were like Dave Weckl, Simon Phillips, and I don't know if I was listening to Vinny at that time. I think it came a little bit later, but Weckl was definitely one of my first influences.
Okay.
And that also was probably because of my father, because it's because I had the chance of like me, accompanying him, like going to the record store, listening to music, and I didn't know what CD or like what record I should listen to. He would show me around and like listen to that stuff. So I just sometimes I just randomly picked stuff, and I don't even remember how I stumbled upon like the Dave Weckl band. It was one of his early records, like I think it's called Master Plan, which really did a big impact. And then it was like Hardwired.
Yeah.
It's basically because of him, getting me aware of all this stuff that's there, and like all my friends at that time were listening to Guns N' Roses and Metallica.
So you were weird.
Some kind. I enjoyed listening to Metallica as well, especially when the Black Album came out. That did something to me as well, which was I always felt very attracted to the heavier genre as well.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
How about let's talk about practicing a little bit. How did you practice like back then when you were like what was the practice like? Can you remember any specific moments like?
Yeah, back then I just played.
It was just
really,
listening music and playing along music, or?
I was not even listening to music. I was just playing to music. It was just, putting some music on and try to play with the music. Try to learn the drummer's parts and basically sync the drum arrangement. That was it for a very long time, I think. And I recently got back to that. I mean, not learning like songs or like playing to. I think it's really important to, if you like make a living as a musician, and practicing stuff you need to practice for. To get the job done, basically. You have to remember yourself sometimes to have fun, or why did you start playing the instrument?
Yeah,
also.
Exactly. Great point.
And I think it's sometimes it can be hard to just sit down on the drums and improvise and channel something, like if you like try to sound like this or that, like or trying to channel a certain player or a certain vibe or something, and it can be hard at certain times, but it's a very I think it's just a must, like to find time, at least, like if it's just like for half an hour or hour for just jamming and work on your vocabulary and like your musical voice, so to say, and being able to act in the moment.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing myself, and when you have played like 20 or 30 years, sometimes you have to kind of go back and try to remember why you started playing. Why did you love playing drums or any instrument? So it's kind of like a relationship in some way. So that's really important, and also a great reminder that somebody who is at your level has the passion and still wants to go back to the beginning or to the ABC and also play the simple stuff and like the basic stuff. It's really important.
Yeah, I always watch myself, definitely catch myself like going back to working on basics. Doesn't matter what it is, you know, like can be technique related, can be like time related, you know, because I'm recording a lot, and every now and then you know, everybody has its tendencies, you know, but that's very normal. But recording is just a great way of finding out more about your musical self.
Yeah, it's a really great tool.
It's be like a very cruel thing to listen to yourself. Sometimes I have to really, you know, get over myself somehow to, you know, but it's my job, you know. I have to listen to what I just recorded, what I produced before I get it to the customers.
Yeah, it's a great tool also for the students to learn about their playing, because if you have just, let's say you have just iPhone audio and you have played with the phone, and then you suddenly get like 15 microphones and you realize, okay, is this my playing? Okay, it's not in the grid, or I'm not saying that it should be like a mathematical way in the grid, but you can hear like, okay, you're bearing the B there or something, how you're hitting the snare drum, it's like a different tone every time. So it's a really great tool.
Exactly. I mean, it's fascinating what this can do, you know, especially if you watch the new generation of drummers, like for example, metal drummers, you know, because if you talk about the grid, it's since someone came up with drum samples, and being able to program drums, you know, like sometimes you find also records where drums were programmed, and what you know, if you have to if you get the job in a band that for example, like program the drums, you have to imitate that kind of, like I find it very interesting that this generation of drummers seem to try to be the machine themselves, somehow. And you know, I think it's a skill you can learn definitely by recording yourself over and over and just listen to your tendencies and trying to get rid of them. And just, you know, like if it's like consistency in terms of dynamics, but also the note spacing. If you have like double bass drums for 16th notes, and there are a few notes that are like a little bit off the grid, you will hear that, especially if the kick drum is loud enough. So you will notice that immediately, and that's something you don't want to have there. You know, not, you know, like, and also consistency has gotten so much more important, I think. So all these things you can get rid of by just recording yourself. You basically you don't need it. I don't know if I lose my job now, but you don't need to get a teacher for that anymore, because you can learn it if you just listen to yourself, what you produce like on the instrument. You can learn a lot about yourself on your own.
Also, you don't need to have big arsenal of microphones. You can have like bass drum and overhead microphones and some kind of cheap interface. Yeah. Can you remember like some kind of game-changing moment when you realized that you want or you can do like drumming for a living or as a profession?
It happened at a very early age when I already earned money with playing music. It was already before I went studying music to university. So I was about like 15, 16 years old when I played. I was younger when I played my first shows, but when I actively, earning money by making music, it was about that age. And but it was not like I still was living at my parents' house, so there was no need to earn a lot of money. I just cared about my drums, practicing drums, and music was basically like, still is like the thing I like to do the most. So it was pure focus on like drumming, and I didn't need to care about the money. So when I came out of university, things like changed a little bit, so it was very interesting that right after I left university, I got the call from Jan from Panzerballet, and this was actually my main band since then. So I joined the band and recorded, or pretty short after that I recorded my first album with them, which was the Starke Stücke album. Like
wasn't
the Green album, like
okay.
It was my first the first album I did with them. And that was a great experience because it was not like the usual thing, like a top 40 band or like some job you would search for making it possible for you to make a living of music. It's a very unique thing. Like if you know the music of Panzerballet, it's very actually a pretty strange thing, and it's not pretty commercial in any way. Like it can be funny if you have the right humor, like German humor. Like
Yeah.
it can be funny at times, but for me it was always like it was a really serious situation always, because of course like the songs, like, and the arrangements of commercial German pop songs or whatever, like it was funny in a way, like doing a Rammstein cover, but mixing like Afro-Cuban with like metal and stuff like that. But like the technical side, the technical information behind it was, in terms of the vocabulary that was used, like was new to me at that time, and how to use it, like use the stuff in a musical context, and now how to arrange the drums, how to write in that context, because there was improvisation going on, but also, the head of the song, which was pretty much composed to a high degree. So, because of its complexity, it has to be written. So I had to. So it always was like both worlds of like composing stuff in a classical, more or less classical approach. But also the improvisation context. So, this was always purely serious for me, and I had in that band I had the chance to dig deeper and like really work on that, like creating a voice, with that kind of stuff. This was my main thing I did back then, and was like we were playing a lot, and basically more or less earning good money, like by just playing gigs.
Yeah.
That was my, and I was very lucky to have a band like this in the very start.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I didn't have to, like, I mean, I would probably would have a look into something different, like, because like it's if you make a living out of music, it was not easy back then as well. Like it changed over the years. The music industry changed so much, but it wasn't easy back then also. And I was lucky enough that a guy like this just gave me a call and it worked out. So yeah.
If there's somebody who hasn't heard Panzerballet albums, you should go and have a listen because it's really interesting and challenging stuff. Yeah. I remember hearing those records the first time. I was like blown away. Like, what the hell is this stuff like? Because there is that the improvising part, and then there's the mechanical part. Like you play, though, it's so ridiculously like challenging stuff. So it's interesting combination of both worlds.
Yeah, I had time. I had time, all the time in the world, just to practice. And I saw basically what I saw was a musical vision, so to say, to like practicing. Like if you don't have a vision where you want to go to, like it's not the best thing. But it was pretty clear what I need to work on in order to keep up with that band.
Do you think that it some way like shaped your way to play to these days? Like,
I think I'm a completely different player these days.
No, okay.
Because I always had the inner urge to develop towards a certain goal. I was never like really like. It was always important to have a musical goal to work towards too. Like, which when I in my late 20s, I got the call from Obscura, and at that time, I was just starting listening to extreme metal because I was simply not doing that before. I started to get more into that style of playing, and I thought like, okay, it's just a matter of practice. If I still like practice like 6 hours a day, which was pretty normal for me anyways, so I can do it. I was pretty naive or like, but with that kind of stuff, I had to learn that there's the physical part coming in, which takes a very, very big chunk of the whole thing. Like it's at least over 50% of the whole thing. Like it's how the understanding of how the human body works and how you develop certain skills in order to be able to play the music. And that I just didn't know at that time. And I can remember like before the first album I was practicing, like music were written and I did compose the drum lines. There was no time to really sit down on the drums and jam the stuff and try out different. So I programmed, like all the arrangements like into detail and basically making sheets and then learning the songs. And I had 1 month, and after like 2 or 3 weeks, I just broke both my hands. So I was pretty much injured. Yeah. I couldn't play anymore without pain because I just ignored the speed that was there, which I couldn't handle at that time. And the fact that I just ignored the time that it takes to develop a certain skill. If it's a technical skill, you need the human body to, work for you, and this is a development that takes years, not weeks.
Yes, and you also need recovery from the practice.
All right. Also right. Yeah.
This is something we talked about earlier, and there's certain processes you cannot make go any faster. For instance, with the feet, I believe it's it's a lot of muscle you have to kind of grow, not in the Arnold way, but but you know what I mean. So you cannot make the process any faster. So it takes years, not a month.
Exactly, and it takes years, and also the understanding of how everything works together. The connection between the mind and the muscle is very important. So because if you don't know how it feels, you can't trigger a certain muscle to do its job, because it's always important. Like, for example, I give you an example. When I recorded the second album with Obscura, Diluvium, that was the time where I developed the swivel foot technique. So developing this technique took me about 6 years. So because it didn't go in a straight progression curve, upwards progression curve. I went through phases. It's going up and down. I thought I have it, but I didn't. So it didn't stay consistently. And so when I recorded the album, I was also already pretty good, using that technique, and I felt confident. But after that album, we did some tours in America, in Europe, and this was actually my first time using that technique live. And what I didn't have in mind back then is that after some, if you play every day, and everything is traveling and playing and carrying the stuff around, and after 2 weeks, I just lost the ability to use that technique. I don't know what happened exactly. I just couldn't handle the motion anymore, and I couldn't accept it. For some, I couldn't understand why the skill was gone. At that time, I was very depressed about how should I play the shows without everything I do on a 16th note basis at, let's say, 230 BPM is based on based on the swivel technique. So I was really frustrated about that, but I made it through the bad third week, and the skill came back. It was it's all because the human body is not a machine, and if it's it tells you when it's too much and you need some rest, but on a tour you can't really rest. But today I think it's very important to know how certain techniques work, which muscles you need, and how it feels using that technique. If you can recall that, you can get back into shape at any time within just seconds. It always works for me. Because I try to remember how, that's what I said before, the mind and the muscle is connected, and if you remember how something feels, then you can recall it. It's no skill you develop to 100% gets lost.
Yeah. Let's talk about your daily routines a bit. You told you're recording a lot these days. So what is your ordinary day like?
Yeah, so it's actually nothing special. So My routine would look like, getting up with my family at about like 6:30 or something, and having a coffee, getting my girl to school, my small child, and then I go back having a coffee, and I would just go through certain routines which are based on just maintenance. Pure maintenance. It's nothing really musical. It's nothing special. It's just basics. But I need to maintain those skills in a time, especially when I don't need them. Because like the recording requests I get, they are not all extreme metal. It's like very different. And all of a sudden, I get a request, recording stuff that's above the 220 BPM ladder, or like faster stuff, and I need to be able to use, the common vocabulary, like the skills you need to play that music. And so I have to do those maintenance routines, I call them. So it's not a lot of time I need to put in. So it's just basically 1 hour of maintenance 3 days a week. Just right in the morning after I get up, having a coffee, not thinking of anything. Just I actually like a pretty even if the musical. The musical theory is like kind of boring, but it gets you in a meditative space, and just doing motions over and over, because I think like the endurance-based practice is very important, for having if it's a skill that you do over and over, like you already developed that skill, of course, because it's a like maintenance practice. But getting into that motion and doing this for a very long time, just is great for the muscle memory. And if you can do 16th notes at a very comfortable speed for, let's talk about single strokes. If you do that for like half an hour, very relaxed and like with the right motion over and over, you can do exactly that at a faster speed, but like with just like sequences, small bursts, but you can do them very relaxed and clean. You don't need, there's no music in the world which requires 16th notes for half an hour straight.
I hope not there.
At least I think that's what I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's and that's the beginning of my day, and I would like drive into the studio, which is a 10-minute drive from my home, and spend the day there basically. If it's getting like, if it's like, setting up the mic setup for whatever recording I have to do, because it's, as I said, it's different, and not every setup is the same. So I'm not recording with the same setup all the time. So setting up, getting tones, doing proper sound check, make sure, all the tracks are okay. And because it's a lot, because with my big kit it's like 28 to 30 channels simultaneously. So it's actually a lot to be aware of. And that's at least half of the job, and then I need to learn the stuff I need to record, and that's basically what I do. And I depending on how complex the stuff is I need to record, it's I spend more or less time in the studio.
Okay, we discussed a little about your stuff earlier before the interview, and it seems that you are like constantly like evolving as a drummer. What kind of goals do you have at the moment? What are the goals you want to achieve as a drummer? Because somebody might be thinking that why does he need to practice anymore? But everybody has some kind of goals.
There are too many, but there's one very
Say one.
There's one very clear goal. To me, I want to get back into being able to spontaneously speak on the instrument, instantly. Getting out ideas I have in my head, being able to, doing, basically soloing, like jamming in my studio and come up with ideas or ideas that I already have integrated into my vocabulary, but still like put those ideas in a different context. Like if it's a note rate or if it's like, like orchestration wise. I recently started again working on more on ostinato based playing and like, get my, working on my improvisation skills. So that's, I find pretty important, and that's what also is a little bit of a flashback when I was starting the instrument, because that's what I did back then. I just played the drums and had fun on the instrument. And if you're like a professional musician, sometimes you forget about those qualities. And so that's definitely a goal, working more on that side again. And because it's pretty, I know like a lot of the music I play, especially also with my own band Obsidious, it's music that's in a classical sense composed to a very high degree. So there's not many notes that happen by accident. At least you're not making a mistake, like so every note has its reason and why you put it there and why you orchestrate it that way, and there's a reason behind it, a certain value, but it's also at the same time it has become more important to me to work on my ability to spontaneously speak on the instrument.
And I think it's like a natural thing to have the complete opposite, because you do your band stuff, which is like composed, and the improvising part is, I think I don't know why it feels always so difficult, but like you and me and many other drummers, we have the vocabulary, but how to use it, like how to be in the zone, kind of. It's really demanding.
I think composing is a really big part of it. And I like to compose music. I enjoy composing music and like, getting ideas that you have in your head, get them out and, arrange them in a certain way. But that also can be done in real time. So what I'm basically doing is nothing new. I just like take the ideas that I already have, but work with them in a spontaneous way. And try to be, able to, to pull them out whenever I, like, I think it's, you probably can't practice, keeping the flow, because that's like, that's what I hear a lot, I practice flow, but how do you practice flow? But I just call it working on your ideas and, being able to see like what are ideas? Ideas are probably motifs, and what we have in jazz is the great improvisers were always like developing one motive, like so the motivical development, if it's jazz music or if it's classical music, was always really important. So, and if you have like a good like motivical development going on in a song, is also it's always something really which sticks out like and keeps me listening. You know, that's what when I listen to music, that's what I would always watch out for. And so in classical music, stuff is written, but in jazz music, like you have on the fly composing, so to say. So it's kind of the same thing, but in a spontaneous way. And like I always felt the need of like having my ideas that I have and that I use in a, let's say 100% composed way. I want to like also be able to use them in an improvisational context, but not only just as licks. So you have one lick and you throw it out. So I want to be able to develop that idea towards a certain, musical goal.
Yeah, it's a big goal, but it's
it's a big goal.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
You told about your injury with your hands. Do you have any like few top tips for beginners? What would you like avoid? Like what's the like?
Okay.
What kind of tips would you give to a beginner drummer?
Okay, first, whatever it is you want to practice, be sure you know what it is and how it works. So if you don't know how it works, there's no sense behind practicing it, because like it will be kind of random, Like I think it's always really important if you decide practicing something, if you can't find information and if you can't learn it on your own, try to get a teacher that is able to teach that thing to you. So there's only the awareness, which is really important, I think, how something is working. If it's like technique based, like grip based, or foot technique. Even if it's just single strokes, it can be very complicated, because like it's not only 100% physical work. It's just there's also the pedals involved that do some a big chunk of work for you. So if you don't know how to practice it, you won't reach the goal, in the time frame like you give it, because like a lot of students I see, they lose interest after some time trying. So it's very important to stay motivated by know what and how to practice. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I don't like that sentence, but it's take it slow. It's definitely something that don't go beyond the ability of your body. So listen to what your body is able or capable of, and go with the flow. It's always important to listen and always be aware of what you're doing. Like if you're practicing something technique based, it's important to focus on that, not watch television at the same time. So even if it's just 15 minutes, but it can be a quality 15 minutes if you just pay attention to what you do.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, because many times there are these questions, can I watch TV while I practice? And many times, so no, you can't watch TV. If you want good results, you cannot concentrate on two things at the same time.
Exactly. So it's very important to be aware of what you're doing. Otherwise, you will learn your body something completely different. You're not, if you're not aware about it depends on the state where you are where you are currently. Because if you just do maintenance work and work on the skills you already developed, you can watch TV, of course, because these are skills that are like, they're just like autopilot, you know, like you don't think of them. It's like walking. You don't think of walking when you probably would like stumble upon your feet when you like think of, you know, just going. You shouldn't, you know, that's actually really important. Be aware of the skill you practice. If it's just for a very short time, just pay attention to what you're doing, and it will be a short practice for sure. Like you will reach your goal in a short amount of time. And you shouldn't definitely, that's the third thing which I think it's kind of different. If something hurts, it's the wrong way. You know, like if you don't go further, you know, if something like hurts in the hands or in the feet, just find out why it is hurting, and try to find a way that's comfortable to you, you know. Should actually, these are things that we require to play music. It shouldn't take a lot of CPU from our brain power to process. It shouldn't. It should be something that, like driving a car or like walking, you know, like this is something I want to recall fast without thinking of it. And so it shouldn't definitely hurt, and I shouldn't be like wondering about like or thinking about what am I doing, you know, like it's I think it's very important to reach that point where you effortlessly can execute without thinking of it. But this requires at the same time it requires a lot of focused practice. And I think for me, speaking for myself, it always have been easier to work, like it's more easier said than done, but you need, be aware that you need time to develop. So don't yet set yourself goals that you can't reach in that time frame, which is normally always too short, you know. So be aware that it takes a longer time to develop those skills, whatever they are, and go bit by bit, like just take like small steps. And if you accept the fact that you do so, like it takes a longer time, it's things when it took me a very long time actually to accept that, because I always had the musical vision, you know, like if I always played in bands and I had the musical vision to, you know, like I want to work on this vocabulary and that I want to use that skill and in the music, because I have the musical reason to do so. I have the right band for doing the stuff. But this was like forcing me always to function in a way that it has always to be like really fast, you know, like if we are recording an album like in 2 months or something, and I decided but I want to I want to get that and that stuff like I'm currently working on the album because I find it like musically intriguing. But that's not how stuff is working. Like from now's perspective, I would say like it's beneficial if you're working on new music and an album to work with in the near future. So you work with the skills you have. Not set the goals so high and the technical expectations so high that you like won't reach the goal.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and also it's a great reminder that when you told that you practice 6 years with the swivel technique. So many people, many students come to me and they say like I need to practice this and this song, and after 3 months I have to play this song, and many times I tell them that it's impossible. You will hurt yourself and you won't achieve that. Many people lose their interest. If I told everybody like it's going to be 6 years, yeah man, 6 years and you get it, I wouldn't have any students anymore. But it's not always 6 years. But let's say like a proper feed technique, like the basic mechanics and stuff, maybe 2 years would be like realistic. Not like stuff you play, but you know, when you start a new skill, that's a really good reminder and a really good point you're saying. Like you cannot make it faster, and when you accept the fact, it's going to be great.
Also, it's always interesting to work on new skills and new techniques. Also because if you have a musical use for it. But there are many other ways to express on the instrument with the abilities you have. I always forget about that. It's not just about like new skills and new techniques which are fancy and nice to use. Of course they are, but there are so many ways to express, you know, in a different way. You know, like if it's phrasing, the way you compose. There's so many ways that makes you speak a unique voice on the instrument or develop a unique voice on the instrument.
Yeah, that's true.
But I also, because I'm very fascinated by the physical part of drumming as well, and I tend to forget, you know, like because these things take up time, as you said, like. So it's no joke. Like if I'm working on a new thing, even if I know what to do, and I make sure that in the very beginning, it's a long journey to just get those things to perfection and recall them whenever you need it. So when you wake me up, so there's just little changes that can make a difference. For example, if you play a certain pedal, for example, for years, and then you play a new pedal, you know, get some new pedals. This can make you play different already, even if you develop the skill to 100%. Even if you able to play double strokes with the feet, using the horizontal motion, like with the swivel technique. And stuff like that, but just a different feel of a pedal can make you play differently. Yeah, it's just always details, and so it's always important, I think, also not to just work on the human body and the how it works, and like the movements and all that. It's very important, but also I find it very important to get to know your tools you're using, like the equipment. You know, for example, pedals. You know, how to calibrate. You know, play around with the pedal settings and see how it changes the feel, and it makes certain things easier or heavier depending on where you're going for, you know. and this is at least I think this is something that not many people are aware of, and not many people believe, because they think, you know, they are 100% responsible for the quality they produce on the instrument, but it's also the instrument.
Mm.
That's what I believe to a certain degree. That's why different certain players choose a certain instrument, because it sounds a way that they like, and they can reach their goal easier in the studio, like whatever they are going to record. You know, it's just also very important to get to know the instrument and the stuff you play.
Yeah. How about Drum Routines Fest? It's coming tomorrow. Can you give any details? What will you do there?
Yeah,
what kind of stuff you're gonna play?
So it's gonna be all over the place. I will perform some stuff from my own band, Obsidious, which is pretty like extreme metal based. Yeah. So you get to hear the Sebastian, which is trying to play composed stuff, you know, like really, you know, like 200% composed stuff. And then you will probably see me also playing some fusion tracks. And I will do open solo. That's also, you know, like you ask me what I practice and where's my musical vision, and so I see myself like using the chance and, you know, practicing stuff that I will perform at your Drum Routines Fest, and like, you know, practicing soloing, practicing improvisation. That I will try to come up with something, you know, interesting tomorrow, performing wise, and then I will see what questions people will have, and what they ask me, what they would like to know. For sure, I will give some insight into the skills I use in my own music, like technically speaking, but also probably give you a little bit of an insight what I'm doing theoretically, talking about the music, talk about composition, talk about you know, some topic which is also really important to me, which is called orchestration, because it's very important for a lot of things I play. It's really important how to orchestrate, for example, like polyrhythms or polymeters. It completely changes the point of view of the listener. So talk about these things, I think, you know.
Yeah, looking forward.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So how people can get in touch with you if they want a drum lesson with you? What would you suggest?
You know, head over to my Instagram. Just click the email button, and or go to my website. Just drop me an email.
So you give lessons at your studio in Salzburg?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yes, I do a coaching program, which is like I offer like 1 or 2 days coaching at my studio, or I do online lessons as well.
Okay,
still,
nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
What will you perform tomorrow?
Well, I will play a few songs of mine and from different projects, and maybe open a little bit the parts of the songs. And I'm not going to play an open solo because I saved it for you. So, but there will be like very different stuff. One song or 2 songs from the Grand Discovery, the fusion project. Then there's a couple of songs from a pop project or like a progressive pop project. Because
you said like some of your compositions, the Discovery compositions, are those your own, or does your brother like compose as well?
He's the master.
Yeah.
Master of the universe. he's the composer of those songs, and my job is just to orchestrate and put the ideas on the drums and make my own parts sort of. But my brother is a kind of crazy guy. He can also produce the drums, and I always say that he's the better version of me. So, but anyway, I will compose my parts usually, and yeah. So
Great stuff.
I have this drum game for you. I invented this drum game. It will be probably the first and the last time this will be anywhere. So you have to react with one word or few words, and there will be some like random stuff coming. So you just react with one or few words.
Okay.
I give you 10 different words. Are you ready?
Yeah.
They are simple. Don't worry. All right. Saddle or round drum chair?
Round.
Direct drive or chain drive?
Direct.
What's your favorite snare drum at the moment?
Tama Bell Brass 40th anniversary.
Okay, that was easy. How about Saint Anger snare drum sound?
Nope.
No. Triggers?
If I need to.
Speeding up drum videos?
Nope.
Traditional grip?
Nope.
How many schnapps before the clinic?
Nothing.
How many schnapps after the clinic?
Nothing.
How about your favorite city to play in?
Helsinki.
Yeah.
Helsinki.
So,
Yeah.
thanks. That was drum game. You will not probably hear this anymore anywhere. But
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
yeah,
Yeah.
likewise. It was really, really great to hear your point of views and your great tips.
Thanks.
Does the audience have any questions? We have a big audience you cannot see, but we have. Yeah.
Talk some gear.
Gear stuff.
Yeah, gear thing. You have both Tama artists.
Yeah, we are both Tama players. Would you like to say a few words about your gear?
Yeah, so I've been using Tama drums since
Yesterday.
15 years already. And so at home, at my studio, I basically use a star walnut, like you, and a star maple. So not only in the studio, also live. I use those two kits all the time because they do great for me.
Yeah, I have to admit that I was a little bit like spying on you because you had the walnut kit, and of course I wanted the same kit. I thought it was really cool looking, but I saw many people had the same finish, so I didn't take the same finish. But now you have the maple star kit.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one hell of a kit. Really, it does. It records great. It's so easy to tune those shells.
You can't blame the drums anymore.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm also like Meinl endorsee for almost 20 years now. Almost. Wow, time flies.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I use all the time. I use also because like I do a lot of recording and different music, so the kit almost stays the same, but the cymbals change a lot. Probably also the heads. I'm an Evans Promag artist, the Dario artist, and I have the things that change a lot, if I say so, is cymbals, heads, and sticks also. Like normally, so sticks, I don't like to change sticks a lot because you get used to a certain feel so much that I don't like to change it. But if I play some lighter music, which also need a certain cymbal attack, cymbal sound, I change the sticks.
What's the model you're using?
The model I'm using the most is like just the regular ProMark 2B forward, I think it's called.
Is it like round tip or?
No, it's an acorn
okay.
tip, yeah. Yeah, and I recently, I don't have my stick back with me, but
It's here.
I use a nylon tip. Basically, that's a no-go for a lot of drummers. But I recently, like, this was also flashback because I saw some old photos of mine. My mom showed me an album with like old photos of mine. I was probably like 12 years old, like playing a stick with a nylon tip, and I thought, wow, I have to get one of these again. And it depends on what you play for sure,
of course.
But it works great for metal.
Yeah.
You have if you play a thick ass right cymbal, it sounds great on that cymbal. So you get a lot of stick attack, and it sounds very brilliant. But it works under the microphone very well, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
These are my tools.
Cool.
So, yeah, very cool.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.